And go. Welcome everyone. It's Monday, let's check my watch, 5th, 6th of July 2015. It's TVP UK Study session time. We've got a group of guys here today again, which is brilliant, makes me happy. And today we're doing the FAQ 28, 29, and 30. Everyone here knows each other, so we'll skip over introductions. Just for anyone at home coming in for the first time, what we do is we give ourselves a little bit of homework to read the FAQ questions off the venusproject.com, and we choose 3 each week, so this week is 28, 29, 30. We read the question. Without reading the answer, we say give an attempt to answer it ourselves based on our own knowledge. Going to share this with each other when we get into the Hangout today, and then we'll go and double check with what the real answer is on the website as a kind of knowledge check and interesting topic starter. So, cool. Number 28, which is how would one choose a home? Which is very posh. Shall I go first? Go first. No. Anyone else want to go first? Because I talked a lot.
Yeah, I can go. I said after transition, I would speculate that they explained to the computer their needs and the computer could assign them a place to live, which would be as close to the area they work in as possible.
Good answer. My one is, in an RBE, people will be able to design their own homes based on their needs and hobbies. Within available resources, there will be no limit to what is possible, although suggestions will be made to minimize environmental impact, and always the latest technology will be implemented. Notice?
Okay, man. So, I said, a home is assigned to you depending on where you are able to contribute. However, my answer was based on transition, not a resource-based economy. So maybe I fucked up.
No, it's fine. Maybe just suggesting in that is to kind of in the answer say in the transition it would be like this, because
Very good.
We all know transition and resource-based for RBE are quite different things. Just a suggestion. Dan?
I said people will be able to design their own homes on the computer, and none of the architecture is permanent. It can be updated.
Good answer. Good answer. So,
I had to add a row, but I was not able to add a row in time. So, but I would say exactly what you guys just said. You would put some data based on your needs and the location, and of course considering the resources available. The computer would have probably some pre-made patterns that, or I don't know, it would generate for you based on some design like efficiency depending on what you need.
Before we get to the real answers, I think a few of you there have made an interesting point about what you need. Computer making designs based on what you need, and you don't necessarily want what you need. So, say someone a bit like me, is a bit fat, could do with a bit more exercise. With the design, what would you guys think about a computer kind of suggesting something that you don't even want?
Yeah, I think I don't know whether it's in the looking forward or something like that, but I think, and I know that's fictional, but I think it did say something along the lines of knowing what people need and having some sort of like algorithm thing to to do things like that. So say like you're what you just said about, like, say, losing weight, putting plenty of sports, putting you around a sporty area, or say if somebody's really interested in music, putting them closer to other people that are interested in music, or drama groups or something like that, or I don't know, moving the guys who are into science closer to the research labs, etc. And I was thinking as well, like when it comes to people traveling, say if I wanted to move to Spain for a few months, but there's somebody in Spain wants to move to the UK, then like I'm guessing the computer would have all that information and say, right, somebody's come up in Spain that wants to move here, just swap houses. But I'm guessing there'd be more variables in there that the computer would be able to figure out a lot more quickly than we would.
Personally, I would say I have no clue because I've yet to hear anything even remotely related. Which, by the way, let me just stick to my first point. Great question. Really fucking great question. But I have yet to hear Fresco speak about that, you know? In terms of, I mean, in a way that could possibly condescending, an AI going, yo, you're a bit on the thicker side there, buddy. How about a pull-up bar? That just sounds something like from today's skate comedy or something. But in terms of what Fresco said about how the bubble works and you select, and first and foremost, it's an interior you select, never the exterior. You have no say about what materials go in. So that selection of materials is out of the window. You're not the man or woman or child who's responsible for collecting data on the most robust, termite-resistant, fireproof, all that shit, there's no outgassing and whatever. You had no say in it, unless you had, which I'm not saying anything against. But the average individual, if you select something, it's predetermined. You got no say what bolts go in, how tall the structure is. It's always determined by, well, are there tornadoes in your area? How about earthquakes? How many birds take a shit on the roof? And all that stuff will reflect how ceramics are used or not, glass or not, concrete or not. But the interior, yeah, go wild, man. You need a bigger, whatever, living area, sure, But it's all still going to be sort of within the, if we imagine that your interior is going to be selected in one of those capsules, which are just slung onto this tower. Do any of you remember what design I'm talking about? Where the prefabricated capsules essentially are just sort of pushed onto this huge. Yeah, there you go. Right. Mick was helping me with showing. So, I mean, if you imagine that, you have only so much area to select from. So I'm not suggesting that all of a sudden you're just going to go, yeah, I need a villa-sized sitting room there. No, you're working within mathematics that is designed to fit a specific criteria on a specific geological location. You can't go fuck around like Donald Trump. So with that in mind, though, I mean, we're hoping, if we are talking about resource-based economy, people's values wouldn't even reflect the comedy I've sort of drawn inspiration from in the first place. So they would have some sane values to accommodate them to say, hey, look, if this is going to be this big, all of a sudden your, whatever, washroom is going to be smaller, or your some sort of other area is going to be smaller. There's always compromises, but it's reasonable compromises, and that would be understood, again, hopefully, by the inhabitants who would have been through some sort of educational process to tell them that, by the way, we're not here to tell you what you want, what you should or should not do. We just live to the best way that doesn't harm people or the ecology around you. I've babbled on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes, now things are really messing up the way we choose things, because the materials and the designs are the cheapest one used. We use the square houses, the linear structures because it's cheap, not because it's efficient. And people are kind of misled to choose based on not physical characteristics and what will help them the area they live in and colors and stuff. Maybe I'm thinking now. Maybe people would test the house. Maybe a virtual would provide environment. And oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Is it better now?
were you getting on to like simulating like virtual house?
Yeah, yeah. And today sometimes some people like buy a house and they just take a look at the house and they have to accept that house. Maybe we would be able to even test the actual house and say, oh, it's not working, and you can change the design. It would be changed constantly if it's not working, and the virtual reality would like provide a a, a just to give an idea, a preview. But I think we would be able to test everything, see if it's working, and go back if we need and redesign.
Cool. I think I agree with you. I don't have a lot more to say in this. I think for the moment. I think just what you said about people will have hopefully the mindset to listen and learn to why maybe a robot or the computer has put a bunch of trees and or flowers and plants and stuff in their house. And they're like, no, I've never had plants before. Oh, but it does this for the air and saves this amount of energy when you do this. Hopefully people will be a lot more understanding in this way. And I think, Yuri, definitely you've got it there with simulation will be huge. I think people who play The Sims in the future will be building and testing the new cities. That kind of thing should really happen. The interesting part is, obviously, to any of you who've played games like Grand Theft Auto or possibly The Sims, you can do horrific things in games and get away with it because you don't care, because you're not morally invested. We'll see what happens there in terms of technologies possibly or change in mindset that could bring about more of a gaming based simulations for real world systems. Cool. So if no one's got anything more, we'll go and read the real answer now and just make sure that we've covered everything. Okay. I'll read this one. Unless anyone else really wants to. No, that's fine. Cool. So TVP FAQ 28. How would one choose a home? An example of the wide range of choices available in a resource-based economy is the way one selects a house. For instance, a man and woman may visit an architectural design center and sit in front of a clear hemisphere approximately 6 foot in diameter. The woman describes the type of house she would prefer and her areas of interest. The house appears in a three-dimensional image in the center of the hemisphere. It rotates slowly to present a view of the interior and exterior. Then the man describes his major interests and preferences and suggests a larger balcony. The three-dimensional image is adjusted. When they have finished requesting changes, the computer presents various alternatives to consider. They will also enter a sensorium to experience a walkthrough of their preferred design and continue to make changes. When they arrive at a final design, construction procedures are set in motion. The computer selects materials for efficiency and durability. None of the architecture is permanent and can be modified and updated at the request of the occupants. This is a real individual choice. In a monetary system, most live near their work with a house, car, and lifestyle that they can afford, or all too often can't afford, rather than one they prefer. Today, we are only as free as our purchasing power permits, lacking a true sense of self-worth. Many buy houses as status symbols just to impress others. A resource-based economy changes the nature of our dwellings from that of status symbol to just basic shelter to a reflection of individuality and personal interests. Nice answer?
Good answer. He talked about like being able to choose a balcony, but I'm guessing what Ludus said about like say if they live in a tornado area or something like that, and maybe they could have like a I don't know what you call them, a balcony that can like recede into the house.
Very cool thoughts, man.
Or like an extra kind of bubble around the balcony. Something like a greenhouse or a conservatory balcony or something. Don't know if that's particularly sound. One thing that I kind of thought, and I think I probably worded it wrong in my answer at least, was that I said, well, I don't know exactly. I said that always the latest technology and materials will be used, let's say. And they basically say very similar things. What about the people who want to have, you know, a steam boiler, or they want to have vinyl records, or they want to have DVS or VHS or anything like that?
I'd say maybe that's going on our current values of how much we admire history and collecting things. But maybe there will. Well, I'm guessing, especially during transition and the first few generations, that might be a bit of a problem. Send them back to live in the old cities. Fuck them. No, I honestly wouldn't know what to do.
Can I?
Yep.
So, let's see. And immediately, of course, I forget my train of thought, which is very useful in most cases. Okay. The question was, what if they want the old shit? Right. Okay. So the only comparable example I can give was when Jacques was giving the example of basically everything to do with, well, I'm doing this now, or humans are doing this and robots aren't able to do that. So Jacques' explanation in automation, and I'll get to my real example, I'll try to be as brief as I can. In automation, he says, we'll always use machines only in situations where they are equal to manpower or better. Never less or sort of experimental and tested shit. That model is not going to be put in use, in public use. Now, he goes on to say the same thing about movies. He says things like when it's computer generated and when you will not be able any longer to tell the difference between computer generated and real face, that's when computer generated takes over. There are no more real life actors used because you can't tell the difference. What do you give a shit that there's a real human being there, 8 hours in the studio, or something that's generated in, I don't know, 7 weeks, instead of fucking years and years of production time. So that's the only way I can understand how all this VHS stuff, what is it about that you want? If it isn't exactly that this smell of whatever, the shitty tape that is inside the VHS tapes, or the stains that occur on the plastic, or to hold the beefy and really quite heavy item itself, if it's just the sort of shitty grainy graphics on the picture itself, well, that can be easily simulated. Even now, during music production, Aiden, you should know this, that during its production you can put a humanize effect, to give some sort of imperfection, as though a human has, I don't know, whatever, banged on a drum or strummed a guitar. So all these things are definitely possible, and if we are talking about a society where fucking skyscrapers are erected during a single span of a day, because of mega machines and all the other latest technologies. Surely simulating some sort of trippy nonsense of 80s is no feat, you know what I mean? It's no challenge. But that's only in terms of if the person doesn't want the things that I described of, you know, touching the plastic, smelling the tape, all that other shit. If they do, then, well, again, that's why do they want that in the first place? It is dealing with old values. And like we're talking about, we have to really discern. Is it what, today? Transition? RBE? And in each of those periods, the reaction of these inhabitants is going to definitely be different. Because I mean, if you know, if you're one of the inhabitants during the transition, yeah, maybe you have some hang-ups, but then you don't go into the system. You know what I mean? Like you don't. If you're a hardcore atheist, you don't expect going into church hearing radical views. It's going to be, and then John Matthew 16 said this and the other, because that's their groove. They're riding that track. That's their regular approach. So if you want some hardcore atheistic things, you will have to find a different venue. It will not serve you well to be a radical in a very conformist environment. You seek those views somewhere else. Just like right now we're not sitting and speaking on a megaphone or just to a specific microphone in a restaurant. Right now 5 of us are on a hangout because most likely in another environment people just simply don't fucking want to hear it. They want to hear how their nephews are doing or whatever the hell. So right now, that's all I have to say in terms of its values, and if not values, then tech, and tech is always easy to deal with. I could be wrong, though.
Jerry, have you got something to add?
Yeah, I was thinking that I think this thing about old stuff is also related to addiction. People get addicted by several reasons. One is I think they had good experiences, like great experience, and later they kind of didn't have, and they kind of keep remembering that old time with like the VHS, and like had really great experiences and got really attached to that. I think in an RB we would a resource-based economy we would have like open we would be open to new experiences, so people would be encouraged to experience new technology and new experiences. They would not be so attached and addicted to a few things, I think. But also, I think one thing that is very important is there's a trend in the technology industry that not the best technology is released. They actually not develop as well. They develop until it's commercially feasible. It's to a point that people will buy and it's profitable. So they'll develop the technology to its full potential, like the CD, for example, like technology. We have a much better quality right now and much better devices, but they are not available to us and they are not widely used. And so I think the latest technology in a resource-based economy would be like the really best one, and they would probably surpass the old technology. So it's clearly best than the previous technology, and so it would be an obvious decision to make, like to use the new technology, I think.
It's a good example, Lucas. But that's video games these days. They're released open beta. They're not finished products anymore. It actually is is because of the internet. It's because of the advancing technology. Back in the old school days when you got it on a floppy disk, that was it, and that had to be it. There was no recalls, there was no patches. Anyway, too specific probably. Cool. That's really good answers, guys. Thanks for that. Should we go on to the next question?
Well, what about Daniel? You got something to add?
Yeah. about all the old stuff. I think it is a matter of just it being phased out. For example, if we all woke up in a resource-based economy like the Venus Project tomorrow, I don't think anybody would be wanting all the old stuff back. You know what I mean?
That's true. And now I don't know. I'm speculating it's too based in today's world. It's hard to think of what people be like in the future.
I don't know. Can only guess.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of examples like, hey, what if, say, someone wanted to build an Amish farm, but then, well, why would they? And so, and like, you know, the Amish, well, it might be around still, but would they really get involved? Or if they really wanted to get involved, or would they just go off and do their own thing? Who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to tell what's going to happen.
Definitely agree. Otherwise, I'd be winning the lottery every day. So, the next question, what are we on? Question 29. Is everything going to be easier than today regarding the materials what we use at home, for example, white goods, furniture, etc.? How is it going to be changed?
What are white goods? Does anybody know?
White goods are the things in your kitchen, your fridge, freezer, washing machine, gas oven, that kind of stuff.
Well, I guess I'll go through my answer and then add a bit to it then. I said I don't know what white goods are, but I guess after transition furniture, etc. would be easily updated, changed, and rather than owning things, I guess that we would have access to the things we need. So when it comes to things like cooker, washer, fridge, freezer, etc., I think you'd probably still have the fridge, freezer, or I suppose it depends how far into a resource-based economy we are, because you might have a little like 3D printer that prints food. But as for things like washing and things, you might just like throw them in a hole, and then you see them when they come out of the wardrobe again, all nice and clean. And you might go down to like a restaurant or a cafe for your food that's not far from where you live. So I'd say things are easy because you don't have to do as much as you did before using the latest technology, but that's just a guess.
That's good. For me, yeah, I didn't. I kind of focused on white goods and ignored everything else, so I might add a little bit later afterwards. I said many services will be automated and centralized. Cooking, laundry, washing up could be undertaken by sending or receiving goods off from a centralized facility for cleaning, cooking. That could be housed in the central dome. I know in admittedly it's a children's book about the Venus Project, but I've forgotten what it's called. If anyone knows, just shut up. But they had basically it was basically takeout food. Food would be cooked somewhere and just appear in your house, and it would come along chutes. And as Mick said, you'd fit your laundry in a chute, it would go off and then come back. That's it, really. The Rings of Venus is, I think, actually a really good book for getting a real idea about how it could be like inside there from a human perspective. Moving on with the rest of my answer. Automated cleaning bots such as, well, we see today there's a thing called Roomba, which is the little vacuuming automator thing. And I know that a number of people are making automatic, like Roomba version lawnmowers and stuff like that. So automatic lawn mowing. Ultimately, the goal of a resource-based economy is to remove the drudgery of everyday problems for people, allowing them to challenge themselves in other, more productive ways. And how that happens is basically depends on the technology at the time. Okay.
Okay, I suppose my turn. And I answered, yes, it will be easier. With improvements to 3D printing and intelligent allocation of scarce resources, people's lives will be many times easier, more efficient, less wasteful, functional, and durable where such features are the optimal form. The reason for the last bit of writing there was because obviously you would most likely not like an orange skin to be durable. You want that shit to be penetrated with a single pinch. I hope.
And done.
I said I thought it'd be pretty cool if all the furniture could change size. Like, for example, I'm quite tall, and I'm always finding that things are too low down, and this desk is too low for me. So I don't know how it's possible, but maybe I could press a button and it get bigger. I don't know.
I think I know what you're talking about, Dan. There's like, I forgot what the company's called, but they're like a space-saving company, so the beds fold up and stuff like that. So maybe like Dan's talking about that kind of stuff, where you just press a button and it'll fold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Everything in the world is too small for me. Like sinks are all too low down.
I feel your pain. I'm quite tall, and I was a pot washer for a long time and completely did my back in.
How many people have got like holes in the walls where they live that you have to kneel down for? There's a hole in the wall, you know, like a cash machine, near where I live, and like I kneel down. Somebody says, "Why don't you just bend down?" I was like, "I might as well kneel. This is for a midget."
Oh no, bend down, you hurt your back.
Yes. Yeah. There's some cool sci-fi books out there about memory metal chairs and stuff that morph to your position and stuff as you get in them. And if the
I'm not an
technology is
expert.
around, it will be used.
I'm not an expert, but I just thought that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Let's see what the real one is. Anyone else want to read this out?
I can read it.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, so TVP FAQ 29. Is everything going to be easier than today regarding the materials we use at home? For example, white goods, furniture, etc. Then how is it going to be changed? In the future, people may be shielded from weather by electronic means. Newer technologies may make walls transparent, so that occupants can view the surrounding landscape without those on the outside being able to see in. Daylight could be softened and subdued according to the preferences of the occupants. Dwellings could provide a barrier to sound, insects and dust, while also maintaining an optimal internal temperature. The building's materials may generate energy and control the surrounding climate. The home will be engineered to do its own maintenance. For example, a floor surface could be ceramic without the grout. It will be micro-etched so that moisture or fungus cannot adhere. There would be many sensors throughout the home for optimal cleanliness, interaction with the occupants to meet their needs, and for energy conservation. In some cases, the interior walls and ceiling will be luminescent rather than using any single source of light. Color would change on demand. Speaker systems and other electronic devices could be an inherent part of the structure. The telephone may be invisible and a component part of the interior structure. It may focus sound to the location of your ear. The furnishings may consist of totally different configurations that automatically adjust to our bodies as we move.
So basically, high-tech paradise. God damn.
Yeah, it does sound awesome.
I love the idea of walls being able to be transparent. Like, I don't know if any of you guys drive, and I don't know if it's different in where you are, Huey, but in England at least, if you're driving through the countryside, all you see is these barriers of hedges where you could be seeing amazing views. You can't, and you're just driving through this little hedge wall. It's annoying. Anyway. I think it's an interesting answer.
Yeah, I think we got a few of those things right, like what Dan said about the furniture moving to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, the answer is yes. We're going to try and make things easier for you. Elsewise, what's the point? Cool.
Well stated.
And maybe I was thinking maybe evolve into an integrated system like the refrigerator and the oven, like become one single thing. Like it has some compartments, and you put the food there, and you select what you want to make, what you want to cook, and it kind of separates and mix and cook everything. Do you think that will happen? Like one single thing that you put like rice and all the ingredients and
Yeah, like
keeps it cool and stuff.
like a 3D printer. The resources for 3D printer, just being able to spit out what you want.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Like, I don't think the specific technologies really even matter to the question, if you know what I mean. It's an interesting one, and it could possibly. I don't know any physical reason why someone with enough brains could not make something like that. But yeah, the idea is that we're going to try and do things for the benefit. Cool. Anyone have anything else on that, or a tricky question around?
What if we want a kitchen?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, what happens if we want to cook and not use a 3D printer?
Anyone? I can't answer, but I'm interested to hear what other people say.
Same here.
Just for you guys, we've kind of been through this one before. It's a question that came up, so we kind of looked into it. What do you guys think, Dan, Hugh?
I didn't know you could 3D print food.
Well, you can't yet, but say in the future there is Star Trek phasing replicator machines, or even a centralized system where you just order your food and it comes to you. In that kind of system, how would you say to someone who goes, "Hey, well, I want to make my own spaghetti bolognese tonight. I know it's less efficient, but I want to do it."
Yeah, I suppose it's like what we just talked about, phasing out all the old stuff.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
It's like what we just talked about a few minutes ago, like phasing out all the old stuff. Like, how many people would actually want to do that?
You're right.
I don't know.
It's probably the way.
Maybe there can be like a place they can go to do that.
Yeah. So basically, to get you guys in on the conversation, if you ever have this with someone, some people get very defensive about it. They're like, I love cooking. You can't take this away from me. And of course, we don't. If you want to cook your own stuff, it's fine. It's up to you. Deal with it. Just do it. No problem. The real kind of concept is that cooking's a bit of a chore for everyone to do it have to do it every single time. It takes up your time, which you could be using doing other things. So we're trying to free up some time to allow you to do better, eat healthier at the same time. Because I know at least I'm terrible at portion control. I always cook way too much. You've got me there, Ludus. I'm talking probably at RVE. or at least in the transition, people will be kind of strongly behind their food. The thing is that at least while it's a bit of a chore for some people, especially like myself, for other people it's their one outlet of creativity in their day, which is why it kind of really does matter a lot to certain people if you get into this and someone's getting defensive. And what we kind of think, at least, is in a resource-based economy that your creativity will be opened up to a whole range of different things. One of them could be cooking, fine, no problem, but there'll be other things as well. It's not going to be your one last refuge where you're allowed to do something a bit fun, a bit creative in your day of working in the factory or whatever your job is.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I also, I'm trying to think in terms of. Sorry, Aiden, do you mind muting yourself? Because I can, yeah. There was feedback. I was essentially just curious. So obviously into transition is not possible. I mean, okay, so what if I like cooking? Well, I like hunting. I mean, I don't know. I like jerking off on people's windows. I like smearing feces on, I don't know, cancer patients. I want. Well, where the fuck is the change? What are you talking about? So first and foremost, again, reassess what you're even reading, what you're talking about. We're talking about a shift in people's values. If there's no shift, then we're just talking about people's values. And that's not interesting. That's here. That's now. That's capitalist. That's me. Let's cut off the forest because I need the new Bentley. Fuck that. So if you want that, fine. Stay here. Watch your grandchildren get fucking asphyxiated by the CO2 and shit like that whilst, elephants fart for oxygen. I'm not interested in that. And if we were interested in moving away from that, moving towards innovation not just of tech, which we know can fucking happen like that. If we're moving towards innovation of human thought, meaning, I don't know, if you're angry at me, all that shit, maybe you've been through a stressful day, all that stuff, and all of a sudden, instead of conflict, what comes out is understanding, conflict resolution, and as quickly, as snappy, and as intelligently as possible. Right, empathy, exactly. So, what if I want is, I'm sorry, but very, very old values, which are kind of why we're at this stage in our society as we are. That's what got us here. If I want is why this fucking world is burning. So reassess your values. You know what I'm saying? Watch a few more videos, question, ask things. But if I want is the last thing you want to say when you're thinking you're going to get into the first fucking city. First city is literally going to survive on intelligent choices of resource allocation. How is if I want fitting into that at all? Well, the answer is it doesn't. You know what I mean? What if you want to preserve ecology, local and global? Well, that's kind of the first thing to go. Not what I want, what I need. And that is the only things that are considered. So what you need is sleep, arable land, fresh food, air, water, all of that stuff is going to be taken care of. But these are the only things that are going to be primary needs. What is considered? Anything I want will be very, very far into the future. And like Jacques stated many times, transition is going to be difficult. So do not look forward to all these extravagances being catered to like it's, the epitome of high-tech society. If you want to get somewhere, there's going to be hurdles. And the hurdle, if it is going to be my kitchen, I don't know, wants to be fulfilled, instead of what? I don't know. What do you want to exchange it for? What, a more efficient generator for the whole population? A better agricultural system and its resources? More established and better prepared teachers to school your kids and maybe even you in terms of human understanding and ecology and all the rest of the stuff? So do you know what I mean? What are you willing to exchange? If you're not willing to give anything up, what change do you expect to get? But that's all the kind of commentary I have, and it's really, again, coming down to just human values, which are really fucking selfish in the first place.
Very well said.
Yeah. Question your wants is a good one here. Just the interesting thing is that, a couple of things. I think people who are really into food, like in a real way, then they'll get into, I don't know, say the first city. I don't know whether it's going to be fully automated cooking. Probably not. They'll be the guys in the mess tent making everyone's food, which will probably end up diminishing their enjoyment of cooking. But we're not aiming to do that. The aim is to realize what the underlying need is, which is possibly learning, a bit of creativity, a bit of self-control, and allowing them to do that in various ways, which is what the RBE does. It allows you to do that in many different ways, rather than in this kind of one way as we are, well, for some people, like kind of one way today. So not just ignore the wants, but to try and figure out the underlying needs and cater to them is what is the goal. But that's basically what you said anyway.
Also, one thing I think to realize is what I just said was extremely offensive. I just now sort of listened back to what I said. I mean, if there was literally just a conversation sort of two-way, if a person genuinely never heard of this, he's hearing about this new society, what if I like cooking? My answer would literally fucking bomb the bridge between us. I realize that now. I mean, I would obviously have to PC the hell of my language. I would have to really diminish the whole attack angle by I don't know how many times. Because obviously, you know, oh, you're fucking selfish. That's your problem. You know, how am I building a bridge? So I realize, and I mean, again, just for anybody who is watching and for you guys, I mean, I'm talking literally just to you folks who know just the general principle of a resource-based economy. Otherwise, this answer does not work at all.
That's all right, Liz. Yeah, we understand. But that's what we're here for. That's actually why we're here, so we can talk without having a PC ourselves. So thank you for sharing. All right, move on to the next question as we're 2 minutes until we officially end, but we'll probably go on until about 10 unless you guys have to hurry up and leave. Sorry, I didn't mean hurry up. Question 30. In your project, new social mentality is introduced. What novelties in architectural forms and constructions does the Venus project offer? So I said, not many novelties. It is the way that the whole system is designed and put together as a whole total city system. The change of mentality introduced by the Venus project will allow for new methods and contexts of our technology and architecture to emerge. That kind of doesn't quite make sense, so maybe to clarify is that the elements of, say, the Circle City, none of it is particularly ingenious, particularly out there. It might have been, especially when it was first and originally thought of by Jacques in 70s, but 70s or so. But kind of now today, 3D printing, that's not crazy. Extrusion, well, that's just 3D printing. I mean, the elements of it are pretty much there, but the way it's designed together and put together is the unique thing about it. And it really allows us to use our technologies in new ways with the way that it's put together and the mentality that's approached it. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Well, for one, I'd just like to say that was fucking well stated. Yeah. I'm not even sure of my answer anymore because your answer makes a lot more sense. I'll read it anyway, just for amusement, I suppose. The buildings or anything else are not haphazardly constructed. Every building, transportation component, anything technical will first have to determine what function or purpose it is to be achieved. Is to be achieved by said architecture, technical component, etc. Then, once this is understood, you move on to the design project. This is done with a scientific method and research of positive and negative retroactions. The ideas are arrived at. No one goes on making decisions.
That makes sense to me. I'm not sure, but I guess there would only really be functional novelties or novelties that came accidentally out of designing a structure or building to be functional. I'd expect that our values may have changed after transition, and we won't be looking for a building to look good initially, although it might anyway.
I like the finish.
I said I don't really understand this question. What does it mean by novelty?
I'd guess novelty is like something new, that's a positive something new. That, well, I think I've always got the impression of novelties that wear off. Like when I went part time, it was a novelty to be able to finish at 10 o'clock in the morning rather than 2 o'clock in the afternoon or an after shift. But then, like after a year, I got used to it, and now I want to finish even earlier.
So does this help you realize the intent of the question? Does that help you sort of understand the question and maybe now you have a refined answer?
Yeah, it helps a little bit. I suppose with construction, we all know it's going to be mostly like self-erecting structures, so that it saves labour. I don't know if that's a novelty or not.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I don't know if it's really relevant to the question. But
yeah. No, I think it's relevant. I think
Well, the self-erecting structures are definitely a novelty. So yeah, Dan, you're very on point there. I'm just, again, you know what I mean? Many of these questions do not give you the specifics of when. So are you talking about transition, meaning one of the first cities to be ever built at all with this mindset in design? Or are we talking about, 20 cities in? How many countries? Half the world? 3/4 of the world? With TVP design structures, they don't define it. But I think your answer on its vanilla version, self-erecting structures, definitely a novelty. I've yet to see anybody use these components at all. Maybe, with few exceptions in Japan and other countries where they've used actual 3D printing, or rather, what do they call added manufacturing for building technologies to erect the whole house in 24 hours and such.
the closest thing I would maybe hazard as self-erecting is, have you ever heard of 4D printing? It's just like a cube, I think, that I saw, but they basically print it and it's flat, and then like over time, it basically by itself, kind of as it cools or something, kind of folds up into the cube shape. But yeah, no, that's good. I think that we could probably say that's a novelty.
But so that's an awesome insight, don't you guys feel? I mean, literally, we just assessed sort of, self-erecting structures are a novelty. Bam, you just dislodged my comment with an existing prototype, whatever the fuck you want to call it, but it's no longer even that amazing. So the concept is already brewing, it's already maturing. So with, I think really then the definition of a novelty is in fact the holistic approach to designing a society, a system, a building, whatever, you know what I mean? Even the design of a city is going to have to be redefined, because what now is a city would a lot of people, and again, if they're architects, will just give you definitions on architecture, on concrete. They will give you, definitions on structures rather than how do people fit in there. What's the values like? What does this building invoke in you? And how does it ease your existence in the building or in the surrounding area? So I think, Aiden, yeah, your answer really boils back to that. That's the real novelty. The way of thinking, the change, the thinking, which allows you to not only construct the structure, but to exist in it in the, I don't know, most optimal of ways.
Yeah. I think like what my answer is basically based on is something that Sue told me a little while ago, probably quite a while ago, and it fits in with the mechanistic point of view, as in nothing is original, everything comes in and gets rearranged and then pops out something else, and this. Like Jacques hasn't had a creative, he hasn't spoken to an alien and had something that's completely out of context to anyone else that we could call original, in that kind of semantically talking about. but it's his range, it's all the different areas that he's covered in his life and bringing them all together into this system, which really sets it apart from other things. So it's not novel, but it covers a lot more than most things.
In addition to that, I think the mentality you said, I think it's part of the mentality, but the introduction uh, of considering the city as a living system and the buildings like connected and the cities interconnected. Maybe the addition of this new concept based on living systems themselves and how they interact and something like that.
Yep, I agree. It's definitely cool. Again, though, I'm thinking of examples where it's not just us. It's not just Jack.
I'm thinking we've yet to read the official answer, and it's a long one.
It's a long one. Should do a paragraph each.
Well, I mean, if you want, I really don't mind doing the whole thing, but it's a long, that's all.
If you want to do the whole thing, maybe about halfway through, just give us a nod and I'll take over. If you want a break.
All right, I'll attempt it.
Cool.
Okay. All right. TVP FAQ number 30. In your project, new social mentalities introduced. What novelties in architectural forms and constructions does the Venus Project offer? While some advocate the modification of existing cities and spend much time and resources attempting to update them, we find such attempts inadequate. Modification carries a large price in dollars and sustainable resources. Modifying and building on what we have means we must continue to support a combination of older systems' infrastructure and energy needs, their high costs of operation and maintenance, and their overall inefficiency, not to mention their detrimental effect to the occupants. It is actually less expensive to build newer cities from the ground up than to restore and maintain the old ones, just as it is far more efficient and less costly to design a flexible, state-of-the-art production method than to attempt to upgrade an obsolete factory. To live in a world without pollution and waste, yet keep parks, playgrounds, art and music centers, schools, and healthcare available to everyone without a price tag, profound changes are required in the way we plan our cities and conduct human affairs. To support this new aim and direction, our city designs, industrial plants, waterways, energy systems, production and distribution centers, and transportation systems must be redesigned and operated as a coherent, integrated, global energy system, enabling them to be safe, clean, and energy efficient. In this way, we can use our technology to overcome resource shortages, provide universal abundance, and protect the environment. In this society, construction techniques would be vastly different from those employed today. It would combine the most sophisticated utilization of available resources and construction techniques. Self-erecting structures would prove most expedient and efficient in the construction of industrial plants, bridges, buildings, and eventually the entire global infrastructure. This would not create cookie-cutter cities. The notion that intelligent overall planning implies mass uniformity is absurd. Cities would be uniform only to the degree that they would require far less materials, save time and energy, and yet be flexible enough to allow for innovative changes while maintaining the highest quality possible to support the local ecology, both human and environmental. Utilizing technology in this way would make it possible for a global society to achieve social advancement and worldwide reconstruction in the shortest time possible. The circular arrangement employs a systems approach, efficiently applying resources and energy conservation, ease of fabrication, and relative freedom from maintenance. The process of assembling entire cities through the standardization of basic, structural systems prefabricated in automated plants and often assembled on site permits a wide range of flexibility in design and takes advantage of interchangeable units to permit changes for new and innovative installations. All systems would be of an emergent nature and constructed to allow for maximum latitude in accommodating change. This could permit the city to function as an evolving, integrated organism rather than a static structure. It is far less expensive to build entire, efficient, sustainable cities, even in today's monetary system, because we only design 1/8 of the circular city and reproduce it. The buildings would be so designed for easy assembly or disassembly. In this way, cities could take on new and different appearances depending on their function. Each would be unique. This approach does not reduce the lives of people to a subsistence level. Rather, it makes available all the amenities that modern science and technology can provide. Even the wealthiest people of today could not achieve a standard of living equal to that of a resource-based economy.
Thank you very much, Ludus. That was a
That
lot.
was fascinating. I felt my foreigner coming out in a few places there.
No, it's very, very good reading. Thank you. So, what I've taken from that is they've taken this chance to, push some of the technology, not push, but go into detail about some of the technologies employed in the circle cities, which is cool.
I think something is a little bit of even more focal or of even more importance than the technology given there. It's the attitude towards conserving materials. So for me at least, the biggest bit that screamed out was we only need 1/8. So again, for whatever reason, maybe for troubleshooting or just see if the shit even stands up to the to preaching. And then if it does, you just go all the way around and replicate it. So I mean, to me, that just sounds amazing. Because obviously, in today, I mean, how are you going to do that in today's building? Really, try to realistically deconstruct that idea. I mean, how are you going to build a quarter of an Eiffel Tower? How it sounds mad. So in here, I'm just really glad that it literally physically, if you look at something, some kind of structure, today they all kind of rely on this square thing standing in some way. Or even that egg in the United Kingdom, in London. How would you do half of it? And what would that even do for you?
What would you do with half a dome? Correct them all.
A show for singing.
Just you're mixing that kind of systems there. The idea like half of London and half a city, or half
No,
a
that's
city.
fair. That's fair. I really thought I had a point there, but you kind of make it sound a bit. It's a good point.
Just being picky.
No, but that's what we need, isn't it? I mean, that's how we stay on our toes.
Yeah, it's true. I think that you do have a kind of point there. Like I know what you're trying to say under it. Like you can.
I think they call it slippery slope. I think I think I just did that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right in terms of saving resources. It's very good that it says that, and also, again, it's not particularly unique to the Venus project, but if it happened, it would be the first time that it happened in reality rather than theory. Is basically the idea of this global biome concept, or whatever word you want to call it, biosphere. The idea that it's all unique, it's all kind of connected to each other. Depends on your technique. Question of novelty, and whether just because someone, say Buckminster Fuller, has talked and discussed about it about the same time, possibly before, who knows, Jacques, then does that really matter? Actually, the thing is, that's it. The kind of question comes back to they want to see something novel. What's new? What's new? Let's see all the good stuff, kind of from today. I think, Whereas it doesn't necessarily have to be new, or have to be the first. I don't know. I'm kind of waffling, so I'm going to stop.
Well, you touched upon this whole unique stuff, and sorry, Hiri, I'll try to be brief. When Jacques said, I don't know anything, he basically says that creativity is taking existing concepts and putting them in unique ways. So in that way, yeah, you're correct, and I'm fairly sure. Again, I'm saying that in a very sort of unsure way. Wait, so I just contradicted myself. Fuck's sake. Okay, basically, I don't know if this is true. I would rather say, I don't know if this is true, but perhaps Buckminster Fuller did demonstrate it, if not in thought, then definitely in structure by building the geodesic dome, showing that it is in fact a very good structure, such as that it has been replicated now in, where is it, the Arctic? Shit, I keep forgetting, the research facility that exists in the Arctic tundra. I don't know what it is.
I think Antarctic is the one.
Yeah, well, my geography sucks that bad that I am unable to differentiate. So thank you for the correction. No, thank you for the correction. I honestly don't know what the hell the difference is between the two. Shows how knowledgeable I am. But anyway, yes, Bucky did build his first stuff. The only difference seemingly is technology really quite devoid from social impact on it. And while Bucky did have ideas of bettering the social life, he did also believe in phrenology, which, as we all now understand, is debunked and really quite bad and dangerous science, which has been refined by Jacques Fresco. So, not necessarily one-upping each other, just Bucky had ideas, very viable in one area, not so great in the other. Jacques seems to have just simply taken the torch, taken it to a very useful direction. That's just my view, though.
That's exactly what I was about. Jack. He got some ideas, and he actually mentions that he can trace. He said he can trace his references because he knows that he got many ideas, and he has not created this nothing from himself, and exactly major influences, and that's all. He actually talks about that, and as Aidan said, nothing has to do has to be new and has to be created by use to be viable. Just if we have a technology that was developed in the 1800s and it's better than any other technology in this area, let's use it.
Absolutely right, absolutely. And I said it before, there's nothing individually new in any of the components. It's the way it's put together, I think.
Okay, guys, I'm going to shoot because I've got a few things to do, so I'll see you guys next week.
Likewise, take care, guys.
Yeah, see you, mate.
Yeah,
Take
thanks
care.
everyone.
See you.
Great contributions from everyone. Thank you for watching.